empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Welcome back, everybody, here inside the Queen, Baton Rouge. We thank them in 1717 for allowing us to host this coach's show. My name is Brian Flores, and with me, as always, is head coach Everett Thompson. Later, we're going to be joined by a guy who got through a slump in a very hot-handed way. Narek Aleksanyan will join the show as we recap what happened last weekend, actually the last couple of weekends, against the Dashers Hockey Club, and we look forward to next weekend against the Athens Rock Lobsters. So, Coach, it's been a little bit. Couple of weekends, you guys faced the Dashers, and you were able to have a clean 4-game sweep against them. First in Danville, then you guys headed up to Topeka as you guys kind of rebranded for a single weekend as the Topeka Roadrunners, taking on the Topeka Scarecrows. But I want to hear your thoughts, all of everything that went on at the last couple of weekends. You know, the fans were actually pretty lively in that venue in Topeka. How'd you guys kind of react to that?
Yeah, you know, I think we can go back to the first weekend, too. There was a lot of fans in Danville, too. It was a good turnout there. It's always a fun experience to go to Danville and play there. It's one of those older barns in hockey. It's always had pro hockey, so it's really, like I always say, it's a fun place to play, and just the atmosphere itself, it kind of brings you back in time. Yeah,
it really does. And just looking at the venue there, because they hosted the old CHL team back in the day, the Topeka Scarecrows, and you guys actually played as the Roadrunners, which was the NAHL team that came in to kind of replace them when they rebranded from the USHL and moved on. But how was it like, just having that kind of history being represented by you guys?
Yeah, going to Topeka is always the history there is cool. Another unique hockey town that's had hockey for a long time, and obviously there was a void there for a couple of years. It's always fun to get the opportunity to be one of those teams that kind of gets to bring back hockey for us it was a weekend, but for for the Dashers, they'll be there for a few weekends bringing it back, and it's one of those things that's always fun, and it's an honor to do it because we were able to experience some people that really did miss hockey, and they genuinely were really happy to have us back there, and it's awesome to be somewhere that, even for just a couple of days, to be somewhere that's that excited to be a part of the game. At the end of the day, we're always trying to grow this sport here. It's, a lot of our markets are a little different and unique, and but at the same time, I think they're really important for the game because, everyone deserves the opportunity to come not only, witness a hockey game, but a place like Topeka, they'll probably get youth hockey back. It was something that apparently was left right when everything packed up and went, so it was really cool to be there.
Yeah, and I would get the kind of notion that there was a lot of energy in the building. Was that something that you guys are kind of used to from this hometown Zydeco crowd, or was it just like more of a kind of intimate feel and having it be a smaller venue?
It was definitely a little different given the circumstances that both teams were familiar to them, and it was kind of hard for them, I think, to root for one per se, but at the same time, it was a very lively building. It's always exciting to play in a place where they fill it up like that, and the atmosphere was great the whole time for us. Can't say enough good things about the experience there.
Yeah, especially the workers at the arena. They were so kind to us, so nice. And you mentioned the travel for the Dashers. They're going to be there for another weekend, but for us, it was a travel, I would say, half month too. We spent a couple weeks on the road, first in Danville, taking on the Dashers in their home barn, and then we traveled immediately down to Topeka, where we spent the week. So I want to get your kind of feel the pulse. What was it like in the locker room? What was the practice like? Was it a little bit more high energy, or was it more of like we're ready to get back to Baton Rouge type of thing?
I think it's one of those things where road trips in pro hockey are one of those things that brings teams together. You get to kind of get rid of any distractions at home. A lot of guys do have stuff going on here when we're here, so it's one of those things where we get on the road, we get to kind of isolate ourselves in and focus on, the task at hand, and it showed in our game this week, I thought. But at the same time, I think it's one of those things that's going to pay dividends not only that weekend, but throughout the course. I think the guys get to bond together, they get to hang out and, go to dinners together a couple more times. So all those things that bring the camaraderie together in the locker room and, build the brotherhood per se,
So, just moving on here, you guys, 4 wins in a row, and throughout the weekend, you guys actually outscored the Dashers 23-9 that entire 4 games. For you guys, what was in those drinks that you guys were having on the bench? What drove that offense?
Yeah, it's one of those things where when we're playing our game and we're dictating and we're playing our style, the numbers and the points are going to come. You're going to see some games against some opponents that, the scoring will be there. Our style really is, though, defense first. I think that's the stat there in 4 games, only giving up, 9 goals or so.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of those games is where they got the majority of them anyways. And, I think our defense and our goaltending and our, our commitment to playing defense, even in games where you can try to get a little overconfident about points, right? Like, it's easy to only focus on getting points, especially as a player. I always say elite prospects has kind of ruined everyone because all they do is go to that after the game and make sure their points are there. But that's ultimately, at the end of the day, our goal is to win a championship here in Baton Rouge and to win, stuff for our hands and some jewelry. So in order to do that, you kind of have to set aside personal accolades, unfortunately. So this weekend was one of those weekends where it's great that we had some, guys got to put up some numbers. They got rewarded, but at the same time, I think, that commitment to defense is what's going to ultimately give us the opportunity to play in a championship this year.
I want to talk about, a couple of the personal accolades. We actually had a couple of hat tricks, one from Jake Cox and another one from Narek Aleksanyan. And just more focusing on the Aleksanyan hat trick, he's coming off of a kind of 9-game slump where he went goalless, and in a few of those pointless, but having 6 goals in 4 games. How important is it to not only the player, but the energy that he brings back to the locker room after having like a road trip like that?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you want to contribute, and sometimes it's kind of hard and difficult to see if you're contributing when you're not getting rewarded for the points. And it goes back to what I just said about the elite prospecting, right? And I don't think that was necessarily ever a thing. He was getting a ton of opportunities, so it's one of those things I was telling him behind the scenes is, you can't really get mad about how your game is. You really can't change much because ultimately you're playing fine, and you just need to – it's going to come. You can't really force the game all the time. Points aren't something you force. As long as you're getting opportunities, you really can't get too frustrated because it's eventually going to fall. And, yeah, 9 games is definitely a little longer than you'd like, but at the same time, the play style is there, the energy is there, the effectiveness is there, and that's what's really important is ultimately it's being an effective hockey player. You're going to have matchups throughout the season and throughout different games, and you're going to see different opponents that are going to, some games will be easier than others, and that's ultimately, some nights you'll get rewarded, some nights you're not going to, and it's, it's hard sometimes to see the results and when you're not seeing a goal or an assist in the column. But it comes back to, you've got to believe in the team, you got to believe in the system, and, it does come on. So, it is one of those things where you will get rewarded. In this game, it's one of those, if you play the percentages enough, you'll hopefully eventually find the right things if you go to the right places too. If you avoid the front of the net, it's hard to score goals.
Yeah, and I feel like with the team that you have right now, a lot of them like to kind of crowd the front of the net, get in front of their shot lanes, and just try to see if they can screen the goaltender. And I want to talk about what you brought up, a really good point about, scoreboard, or I should say stat watching for yourself, pulling up the Elite Prospects page. What's something that you do as a coach to just kind of nullify that and just try to say, hey, stop focusing on that? Like with Narek, it's not like he was playing bad. It was just, a little unfortunate, bounces not going his way, not going to the back of the net, but he's still contributing in a top-level play here in the Fed, and he's generating a lot of chances for you guys.
Yeah, no, and that's where it just comes into the reminder, don't change anything drastically. The results are going to come if you stick to the right things, if you do the little details, if you're going to the net, the results come. It's just one of those things where hockey's a weird game, and unfortunately, some nights there's a lot of goals. Some nights it's a 2-1 game. The way we play, it's probably going to be more sided towards those, throughout the course of the season, especially the playoff race we're probably in now. It's going to be a lot of tight games. Whether they're high-scoring affairs or low-scoring is, each game is going to be played differently in that sense. So, some nights we're going to see guys put up some numbers like Coxie and Narek. They got rewarded there, putting up, I believe, their first ever hat tricks in franchise history as well. So that was really cool for them. Especially to have 2 back-to-back in a short period of time. And we hope to see more guys, achieve those types of things. And guys will do that, especially if we continue on this pace of commitment to the team success, because it ultimately is one of those things where you can ask those 2 guys as much as they did score the goals, and it's great to be the first one to put your stick in the air. Other guys in their line are working just as hard as them, and it could have been anyone on the ice that got the goal. Timing and everything works out sometimes, though, for those guys. So,
you guys put up a lot of points. Special teams played, I would say, outstanding, especially in the penalty kill department. You guys were able in the second weekend to kill off 2 5-minute majors. Although, yeah, it was a shorthanded that was let up, but you guys were able to get that right back in that same weekend against the Dashers. So I feel like that's coming along. You guys have been playing outstanding on the man advantage, taking advantage of any mistake given by the Dashers Hockey Club, but unfortunately, through the weekend, it wasn't without its cost. You guys have had a couple of players get bit by the injury bug. How are you guys going to try to rebound from losing a lot of those guys?
Hockey's a tough sport. These guys are tough. We ultimately do have some guys that are going to play through stuff, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a commitment from everyone to pull the rope. We do have, the 19-man roster here, and it's competitive just to be on the roster right now. So it's one of those things where it's a next man up mentality in every sense of the way. Whoever steps in for those guys is expected to do a job and expected to do it well.
So what's the game plan for you? Because, again, it's hockey is one of those things as a coach. It's kind of like a chess game where it's just like you need to get your next piece. Now that, people like Matches was put on the IR, Gordo was put on the IR. But now what's the plan for you to kind of just fill those holes?
Yeah, it comes down to recruiting. You've got to know players in weird places sometimes. I think it's one of those things where you don't want to bring in the wrong guy or you got to bring in the right piece still at the right time. And it all, like you said, it's a puzzle. It's a game of chess here. It's never, you're going to make mistakes. There's going to be, some puzzle pieces that don't fit right. And sometimes you're going to juggle it as much as you want. It just isn't going to work. And that's just, you try to play it out as much as you can. Right now, I think we're in a good spot. Most of our pieces have fallen into place per se, and it's all, I'm not going to say it's all smooth because, every day in pro hockey can change in a heartbeat here. So, things are going for us right now in a good direction here. And college season's ending soon here. Junior hockey's coming to an end here soon. So the fun has kind of just begun.
Yep, and that's for sure. Just taking a look at the new addition that we had, Nathan Ulbrich joined the roster on January 17th prior to the Danville trip. What were your opinions and first impressions on his play?
Yeah, he's a fast guy, brings a lot of energy. He plays defense style first here, which is huge for us. He kind of fits in that sense of the world. And, he might not be the biggest guy, but he brings a lot to his game here. He plays bigger than I think he's listed. And it's one of those things we always welcome that here.
Always. And a little bit of a familiar face coming back, with Elijah Wilson.
Yep.
So he brings a lot of oomph here to the locker room, and no doubt he's going to be bringing a lot of energy here as you guys take on the Rock Lobsters.
Yeah, no, it's always whenever you get your top point getter back, and he wasn't like he was gone from injury or anything. He was up in the next level. It's always great to come back down here and take what you learned from there and apply it. But at the same time, hockey's hockey. It's still going to be hard work here. He's going to come in here and do a job for us here. We're excited to get him back and get his energy back. But, it's going to be a battle going into Athens this weekend, that's for sure.
And speaking of those Rock Lobsters, when we get back, we're going to be scouting them out and showing you guys how the numbers stack up. And then we'll kind of preview what the next weekend is going to hold here for the Zydeco. So stick right here with us on the Zydeco YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
Find more of what you're looking for at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. More of the games you love, more of the flavors you crave, more staycation relaxation. All this plus an exceptional staff. Add more to your story at L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
We do things with passion. Everybody here really is invested. So if something can be done better, we challenge the status quo.
We'll handle it all with care.
assumption that it's like, oh, you just show up to games and you just announce. And I'm like, no, it's a little bit more involved than that. I'm just shooting B-roll right now. And there's one B-roll that I want to get, but I'm waiting for the sun to get a little lower. So I'm gonna shoot this for like 2 minutes. Or should I just... I'm like, if you're ever here during the season and I'm doing a coach's show here at the Queen, I am dragging you here. I don't know, is she getting her car?
Find more of what you're looking for at Laverne.
There we go. I meant to press that button. As we head back here to the Queen, back here live, my name is Brian Flores, joined by head coach Everett Thompson. I want to gauge your pulse here from last time. What are the major lessons that you guys learned that you're going to be applying to this next weekend?
We learned from going. It's a fabulous arena there they have there in Athens. It's one of those things. We were there for a day. Supposed to be a 2-game set. Obviously, the snow came in there and kind of got that trip in a little rushed. But the one game we do have against them, it was went to a shootout. We lost in a shootout there. I think we showed a lot of resilience in that game. We weren't really fully loaded lineup-wise. We were missing a few bodies going into it, and it was one of those weekends that we were kind of, trying to see where we were as a team. And I won't say that we fell short. I think getting a point in that game was pretty huge for us at the time. Especially, you hear about how good Athens is, and they're one of those teams that has a top. Their top line is really good, and they're good throughout the lineup. But I think our depth is gonna really carry us in this series here, especially a 3-3 here. It's a little different than just a 1-game series here. These are the type of things we're really prepared for going into a 3-game series. So I anticipate us to match up well here. We definitely learned they're a fast-paced team here offensively. Off the rush is where they generate most of their offense. So we're going to definitely combat that as much as possible, make the neutral zone tough on them, go through some film here tomorrow before we take off here and make a few adjustments. Other than that, they're a good hockey team up and down their lineup. They've got some good veterans alongside some good youthful talent here, similar to us here. So matchup-wise, I think it's one of the better ones going into the weekend here. It should be really exciting.
Yeah, and most definitely. And you mentioned the rush. That was actually how they first got their opening goal, as Brendan Reller was able to get a snipe on from the left circle. So what's one thing that you're going to do to try to limit the zone entries and limit odd man rushes the other way?
Odd man rushes are something that you're always constantly trying to prevent. You try to have that F3 high in tracking as fast back to them as possible. At the same time, it's something that is going to happen. To have offense, you just occasionally are going to have a third guy go to the net, especially in goal-scoring situations. I think last time we played them, we had 3 or 4 mad scrambles in front of the net that just didn't really fall our way. It was one of those games where, looking back, I believe the shots on goal were higher for them, but I think the percentages were most of the shots from the outside. So I think it's one of those things where we're going to clog the middle again, make the neutral zone really tight on them, and look for the counter. We're one of those counter-strike teams. We try to let you come to our zone, and we're trying to take it away the whole time. So it's one of those games where it's going to be up and down, but I ultimately think it's going to come down to 1 or 2 plays of execution that are going to make the difference.
One of the interesting stat lines that actually popped out to me when I was doing the research here for the show was it's going to be a 2 top 5 special teams facing each other, the second place penalty kill in the entire league for the Athens Rock Lobsters, and the 4th place power play in the entire league for the Baton Rouge Zydeco. So what's one thing that you guys are going to try to do to kind of break through the Rock Lobsters' defense on their penalty kill? Because you guys had a couple of opportunities last time, not able to find the back of the net on the power play. So what's one thing you're going to try to make an adjustment on?
I think the past 2 weekends that was one thing we were really working on was our special teams, especially the power play, having a good net front presence and finding our shot lanes and finding ways to get pucks through those lanes. Those types of things are critical against a team like Athens because, like we talked about, it's going to be 1 or 2 plays of, a puck maybe bouncing one way or the other that are going to dictate or come out with these 3 points here. So the power play is one of those things where we really do special teams in general this weekend. Going into it, we know it's going to be huge. Being, having a lot of discipline against a team like this, you don't want to give them any freebies. There's penalties you got to take sometimes, and then there's times not to. So going into this game here or this weekend here, we're really looking to have stay out of the box as much as possible. We don't really want to see their power play too much, but at the same time, we don't play with much fear of going on the PK because, we do have a good penalty kill at the moment here, and it is one of our strengths.
Yeah, most definitely, and it's like watching a yo-yo between the top 5. You guys have consistently been one of the top, I would say, half part of the league when it comes to the penalty kill, and you guys never dipped, I believe, below anywhere past 10 when it comes to the PK, at least when it comes to the percentages. So that's one thing that you definitely deserve to have confidence on is the penalty kill. You guys were even able to find your first shorthanded goal against the Dashers, so hats off to you guys. Definitely something that is probably your guys' best attribute on the special teams.
Yeah, I mean, those guys definitely work really hard. That's the thing, penalty kill and that in general is just all about having the right attitude and mindset because it's one of those things where going into it, you kind of know you're outnumbered, you're outmanned. They should theoretically score, but it comes down to that mindset as, sometimes I have to beat 2 guys, and that's just how it's going to have to be. Sometimes I have to block 2 shots, and that's just how it's going to have to be, and those guys do their part, and it's a huge contribution for our team.
And you mentioned the high energy and high skating talent for the Athens Rock Lobsters. And I know it's a canned question, but how much of a measuring stick series is this going to be for you guys to kind of gauge where you are skill-wise?
I mean, you always are constantly gauging that, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I think I like to talk about what we talked about earlier is being an effective team. Skill in hockey is one of those things that's going to happen. All these guys, I think, generally now are pretty skilled. I think anyone that's playing at this level, has hands, can make plays, has that ability. Obviously, there's typically 3 to 4 guys in each team, I'd say, that can, maybe are above some guys in playmaking ability in a sense. But I think everyone, for the most part, is kind of similar in attributes in one way or another. So I think it's one of those things where going into the season, I think, is where you kind of do that prospecting in a sense. But once the games, once the puck drops, I think you throw all that, we throw all the elite prospects, where you've played before, how good of a stick handler you are, because at the end of the day, hockey's one of those games where it's played with a lot of heart. So, if a guy goes in with more heart than the other, he's going to come out with the puck. I truly believe that. So.
Yeah, I feel like, again, even you see on the spotting boards, it's just all of the history. I think that's mainly for the fans, but when you guys get on the ice, you can throw all those stats away. The only thing that matters is you're on the Zydeco playing the Rock Lobsters in Athens.
Yeah, it's one of those fun things you always hear, and, when you're listening to a big sports broadcast, you hear about how one team's always a veteran team and one team's always a youthful, naive team, and I think sometimes it's better to be on the side of youthful and naive because you just don't know, and I think sometimes not knowing is better than knowing.
Yeah, no, most definitely, and you guys can catch the youthful, and I would say knowing, thanks to this man, team against the Athens Rock Lobsters. It's going to be on Friday and Saturday at 7:05 p.m. Central Time, and Sunday is going to be at 4:05 p.m., a getaway day, so make sure you guys are checking on the YouTube before we go live. We always have a pregame, and it's always going to be it's always a fun time. So, Coach, any final thoughts? Any final message here for the guys or maybe the fans tuning in?
Thank you for all the support we had in Topeka, and thank you for all the support we get from our fans here. And we're excited to come back here in a couple weeks here. It's been a while, it seems like, and it's going to be a few more weeks here. But we always appreciate the support. So thank you again.
All right. Coach, thank you so much. Next up, we're going to be welcoming in Narek Aleksanyan to the show, who had 6 goals in the past 2 weekends. So it's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say about his hot streak. Won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Find more of what you're looking for at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. More of the games you love, more of the flavors you crave, more staycation relaxation. All this plus an exceptional staff. Add more to your story at L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
We do things with passion. Everybody here really is invested. So if something can be done better, we challenge the status quo.
All know what's coming, but nobody knows just when. If you don't have a plan or you don't understand how or where to begin, at church funeral services, we'll handle it all with care. Passion. Church funeral services.
Welcome back here, everybody, to the Queen here in Baton Rouge, here in 1717. With me, I have Narek Aleksanyan joining the show. Last weekend, you had a pretty good one, scoring a hat trick against the Dashers in Topeka, and before that, you broke a 9-game goalless streak with a couple against the Dashers. What was the relief like when you netted that first goal?
I mean, it felt great. Obviously, been on a slump like we've been talked about it, but yeah, it felt amazing.
So, when you're struggling like that, and you know, we were talking ET and I to the top of the show, it wasn't like you were playing bad. You weren't struggling. It's just puck wasn't finding the back of the net. But how did you keep your head in the game? You know, when you were going through that scoreless streak.
I think I just kept doing what I like to do, is like work hard. No, like I think my work ethic is one of my assets, but just going day by day and just doing what I have to do to one day break it. But I feel like all the guys in my team been pretty much supportive about it, and they know how much I care about winning. So obviously at the end of the day, if we win, it's great, but it also felt good to contribute to that win.
It's more of a thing like you love winning more than you love scoring kind of thing.
No, 100%. I think if you're not first, you're second in life, but I think you're also last. So
Yeah.
It's just having that mentality of losing. I hate losing, so
Yeah.
I'd rather lose than have my name somewhere, you know?
Yeah, that's 100%. So you scored the hat trick, able to score a couple of goals, 6 goals, 4 games. Now, how are you feeling going into the Athens series?
I feel great. I think the team is getting really, really good on another level that we've been throughout the year. I think everyone's really looking forward to the playoffs coming in. But first things first, we got to take care of business every game and just have a playoff mentality every game that we play. I think Athens is going to give us a run for our money, but I think we can definitely compete with that team.
So prior to your time in the FPHL, you spent time in the WSHL, the SJHL, and even, you know, where I met you, the USPHL Premier. You started off your USPHL career with the Fresno Monsters. where I thought it was an error. When I was first doing the spotting boards for the Long Beach Shredders, I thought it was an error that you had 102 points previously in 39 games played. When you were playing in juniors, how were you so automatic on the Monsters?
I think that year it was a lot of offense first, not only as a player, but I think just us as a team. So even though we got scored on 5 goals, I think our team was pulling 8 goals a game anyways. So, I think changing place, going somewhere else the year after that helped me to work on my two-way game. But, yeah, it's just I was playing with the same Russian guy in my team. He's from Kazakhstan technically, but, yeah, I've been playing with him throughout the whole year, so we knew exactly where we were on the ice.
Yeah, you had a lot of chemistry there with the Monsters. I want to talk to you about, the kind of mentality that you had up in Fresno. How did your time with the Monsters kind of shape who you are as a player now?
I think I've learned that winning games, it's not only about scoring goals, especially when we won our division and then we went to the Nationals. That's where I realized that defense wins championship, and you could see that it wasn't about skills. I think every team that got into the finals that year was a lot of hard work and a lot of heart, blocking shots and everything that goes throughout a team that is more built for a championship. And looking at it, I realized that our team was great at scoring goals, but I think we had to work on being better defensively.
So you moved on, and it was you kind of went through a little bit of a slump your second year, only amounting 101 points in 41 games. So that's a little bit of a decline, man. What happened? How'd you slump that bad?
Honestly, jokes aside, I think going to Vegas, that's where I realized I had to sit back a little bit and just really work on my two-way game. That's exactly the year after Fresno. So after realizing what happened, I just really try to work on my two-way game of just being patient and not cheating for offense or anything like it. And I think that's what helped me grow to be the player I am right now. But, yeah, going to Vegas helped me a lot to work with an old AHL player. He was our head coach, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and I would say just looking at the style of play that you have now as opposed to when you were with the Thunderbirds, even the Monsters, it was kind of night and day the way that you were just more on the offensive side of the puck when it came to the Monsters. But now I see a Narek Aleksanyan who's a complete 200-foot player. What specific lessons in Las Vegas did you kind of translate here to the Fed?
I think it was just a start. I think coming here last year at the end of the year, I just started building even more of a two-way player. And going in the GMHL, prior to go to with the Zydeco, I think just playing for the people down there just made me realize that to be a good leader, to be whatever you need to be in life, you have to do the dirty work. And that's where it even grew up even more. I feel like the more the years were going forward, where I was maturing and realizing stuff that I wasn't in the past. So, yeah.
So you started your FPHL career with the Binghamton Black Bears, where you played a game before moving on to the Danbury Hat Trick, where you actually got your milestone first pro goal. You finally then moved to the Baton Rouge Zydeco, where you played 7 games, earning 7 points, and now you're sitting at 22 points in 26 games, including the 6-goal weekend that you had in these last couple weekends against the Dashers. So in your journey, how do you feel like that built the character that you are today?
I think sometimes you need to eat a punch to be able to move forward. I think I had a lot of realization after getting cut by 2 different teams in the Fed, and that's where I understood that even if you make the team, your place is never safe, and you always have to work your ass. And always understand for the fact that no matter where you are, your job is never safe, and just working hard every day is just, it's a factor that if you want something, you can get it, but it's never handed to you.
And I guess it's kind of similar to juniors, I suppose, where it's you never are guaranteed a roster spot every single practice, and it's always, that's your benchmark. That's your coach's benchmark to see where you are and how you're trending. But more so here in the professional leagues where you're seemingly under a little bit of a microscope. So when you're playing any single game, when you're practicing, what's the mentality that you have when you're taking in the practice, saying that, this may be my last and I got to give it my all?
Winning. It's always about winning. Being work ethic and winning. Even when I miss a pass, I don't like that. I don't accept it. Like at some point you work through life and you expect result, but at some point you have to also demand result out of yourself. If you don't hold yourself to high standards, you won't reach what you want in life. But it's also pushing each other on the ice as teammates. I think the guys around me have the same mentality of winning, and I think that makes our team who we are. Hard-working team.
And when it comes to the work ethic, you guys really showed a lot of positive signs over the course of these 2 weeks. Again, being away from home, being on the road, 14 straight days. What was the mentality for you guys like, in that from the walk from the hotel to the rink every morning when you would suit up for practice?
I think we actually like that. I think no matter where we are, I think doesn't change the way we approach our practices or our games. Yeah, maybe someday we'll have a different type of practice intensity-wise towards us. But no matter what we're doing, we have to bring it every day. I think us as a team, we're doing it. And that makes us successful as a team. We just want to win.
So, biggest lessons that you've learned here so far in the Fed? From being cut from two teams, now being on a kind of regular rotation here for the Zydeco roster, what's your biggest takeaway so far in your career?
I think I repeat myself about it, but honestly, it's always about work ethic. If you have heart and work ethic and you're a respectable person who respects others and doesn't think he's above everyone else, I think that's really what I understood is it's not about you, it's about the team, and I'm actually happy that those two teams let me go at some point because it made me grow as a person and as a player too. So there's a saying, it's everything happens for a reason, and I think I always embrace that saying. So yeah,
and again, losing your spot on the roster does suck, but having you here, I know the Zydeco are lucky to have a player such as yourself, a very hard worker and a good character, I would say.
Thank you.
And just you showcased it. That 9 games where you went goalless, you really couldn't tell when talking with you, where it was just, okay, next. I need to contribute to the play at hand, and, I don't really focus on my own personal stats. I want the results and the wins, so that's a very high character of yourself, too.
Yeah, no, obviously, but again, I think it's the group around me that helped me have the same mentality. Obviously, sometimes you're upset about not helping the team win because you think you didn't pull up any goals or any assists, but sometimes you have to look back and understand that you had 2 block shots. Maybe you had a big hit, a good change that made us score a goal. Like, there's so many things that's going on during a hockey game that sometimes you have to pause your emotions and just look in front of you and see what's happening, And I think our leadership helps a lot looking at our games that way. And, the group we have right now, I think we can do a lot of damage coming forward, but we are here for each other, and I think that makes us each other better. And, 9-game slump. It is what it is. You got to move on. You got to keep going. You can't just stop.
And when it comes to just the chemistry in the locker room, Coach mentioned being away from home for so long and isolating yourselves from, your lives outside of hockey. You guys had a chance to really grow as a group. So over the course of the weekend, coming back here to Baton Rouge, do you feel any different when it comes to relationships with the guys? Do you feel tighter? Do you guys feel more close?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, spending that much time with the guys, it's obviously going to get us close, right? Like, we were living together, we were spending all of our days together, so if you're not ending up being close after that, I don't know what it is, but no, our team's always been close, and I think it's just getting us closer,
So as we head into the last half of your segment, I wanted to just kind of poke and prod here. What are the biggest takeaways from last weekend that you're going to try to apply here to the Rock Lobsters weekend?
Work hard. Do the details. You're in the shot lane, block the shot. Defense, then offense, like every qualities that a player needs to have success, but I think that's everyone in our team that's been doing it. We have consistent lines that everyone puts their work into it. So just if we do the details, we're going to come out with wins. I think that's what separates us from other teams is they don't do the details that we care about, and we do.
And just getting into the nitty-gritty, I guess, when it comes to the specific details, because myself in the booth, I can only see a game from third-person perspective, same as any other fan. But you guys on the ice, you know what you're seeing, and you know what you're thinking at any time. How do you gauge a good night for yourself if you're not putting points on the board?
Like I said, just sometimes just slow your emotions down and just look what you've done besides creating goals or assists. That's what I've learned also throughout this 9-game slump. But, yeah, it's just being here for each other, and I think it's just understanding that it's not only about that, and that's, again, maturing and just realizing stuff that in the past you wouldn't, and again, I'll give props to the guys in my team because they've been there. We've at some point every player goes through that in his career, and that's when you have to understand that it's not only about what you've done, but it's also about the things that you've brought in that game. So yeah, you didn't score, you didn't make an assist, it's okay. You probably had a block shot that maybe created a turnover, so it's all about the details and the work ethic, and it's going to come at some point.
And after what happened against the Dashers, the points that you put up and the amount of style that you had in your game, going into this Rock Lobsters weekend, what's the one thing that you're really most excited about?
Playing hockey?
Well, obviously, you'll love the game, but getting into just like specifics. Is there a certain person on the roster that you're looking forward to kind of throwing a little punches at?
I don't look at the other team's roster. I'm more focused on the guys around me. But what I'm excited about is just playing them. I think they're a really good team, and we are a really good team, so that's going to bring a very good game. So, but yeah, playing hockey, no matter what it is, it's the thing that I'm looking forward the most, and obviously winning. So that's the thing that gets me more hyped for the weekend.
There you go. And, a personal question for myself. You went from being my least favorite player to my favorite player because you made my job so much easier over the weekend. How did it feel, breaking my heart years ago when you were still playing in juniors, hanging 10 on the team I'm supposed to be calling for?
Honestly, I don't even remember. Yeah, I stopped living in the past and just living in the present and enjoying the moment. I think that's one things I wasn't doing when I was in juniors. I think I was looking too much in the back of my head and just thinking about stuff I did instead of focusing what I can do even better. But yeah.
And I feel like in regards to your character as a hockey player, I feel that when I see you on a game day basis, looking at what you're accomplishing night in and night out, it does feel like it's a fresh slate for you. When you step on the ice, it's just yesterday was yesterday. Even when you scored the couple of goals heading into Topeka, you had a completely new breath of life, in every single game. So how is it that you're able to kind of, adjust that way? How is it you're able to move on and completely cut off that previous game?
Look, every game you finish, we have this rule in our locker room, is 10-minute mentality. Especially when you lose, I take it a lot at heart, and I think everyone on our team takes it a lot at heart. So we're trying to forget it after 10 minutes of whatever happened. When you show up to next day to another game, you got to focus on that game. You can't keep thinking about the one that you had. Even you had the greatest or the worst game you've ever played, it's a fresh day. It's a new game. Everything's new, right? It's the present. That's the moment you're living right now. If you keep looking at the past, whatever is coming at you, you'll never see it. Yeah. And we beat the first game 8-2, against Danville, but we still had to come back to a fresh game that was 0-0. At the end of the day, it's a new day, it's a new game, and you have to have the same mentality no matter who you play or when you play.
Not to kind of challenge it or anything, but just completely forgetting about the past. Then when you're moving on from one weekend to a next, how is it that you're just kind of trying to improve yourself if you're not looking back?
No, I totally agree on that. I mean, when you have a 3-game weekend, right? When you have a 3-game weekend, you can't stick to the game you played before that, because then you're not focused on the game that's coming the next day.
Yeah.
But when the weekend's over, you're only practicing. You definitely need to watch some films and watch yourself, watch the team, the mistake you've done, and get better. But at that point of time, at that moment of like 3 games in a row, you can just stick mentally on that game that you didn't play or you played the greatest. You have to find that time and that moment to really look back at what happened and just stay focused on the present.
And it's kind of like a famous quote that I heard one time. It's just pick up, go next kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just next shift, next man up. And I feel like you guys have been doing a really good job when it comes to just letting go any of mistakes that were made. Heading into the Topeka series, you guys had not had a regulation win, in over a month. But against Topeka, you guys had a fire under you. And I bet if you asked if you asked the guys in the locker room, how did it feel just not having a regulation win, they'd just be like, we don't care. We just want to go out and play tonight and not worry about the past.
No, obviously, when you go on a weekend where you didn't have a regulation win during the start of 2025, you really care about it because obviously the standings change a lot, but also you don't want people to start doubting you again of like, this team was pretending, But the talent, the work ethic we have in our team, I think, yes, it felt good, but I don't think that's where it's going to stop. I think we knew it was coming, but we just had to keep working. We can't just give up on it. So we cared a lot, and we needed that, I think, as a group, as a team, and we always believed in ourselves. It was just a matter of time.
That's the old adage, work hard and the wins will come, and in your case, too, work hard, the goals will come, and they did. 6 goals for 4 games. Now you're moving on here to the Rock Lobsters. What's one of the biggest lessons that you are going to take into these Rock Lobsters, and what specific part of your game are you going to try to kind of emphasize here against Athens?
As a team or personally?
I would say personally.
Personally, honestly, it's all about, they're an offensive team, so probably working even harder at D-zone for me. Winning your face-offs, doing the single details, taking the puck out of your zone and just keeping it simple, dumping it at the end of their end and just go hit their Ds and create momentum for the guys. And if the goal happens, happens. If not, as long as we have the W at the end, that's what matters, right? So, yeah. Yep.
So I think that'll about do it here. Any final thoughts?
Thank you for having me over.
Yeah.
Appreciate the invite.
No problem, man. And anything you want to tell the fans?
Watch the games this weekend.
Narek Aleksanyan, the man with the message. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us here live at the Queen inside 1717 for the Coaches Show. Next up, the Zydeco are going to be taking on the Rock Lobsters in Athens. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel if you want to check out these guys as they take on one of the top teams in the league. It's going to be a great matchup, as Narek alluded to previously. It's going to be the top two teams going at each other. So you want to make sure that you're subscribed and you won't want to miss it. Also, make sure you guys are following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Also going to brzydeco.com to keep up with anything Zydeco hockey. If you want to get your tickets, I know it's another couple months, but you can never get it too soon. You can call 225-515-PUCK or email Lucy at brzydeco.com or visit our Ticketmaster page to secure your tickets today for the next game. Until Friday, it has been a pleasure to have you along here to the Coaches Show. We know you guys have a lot of entertainment here in Baton Rouge, but we are honored that you have decided to make us your entertainment here on this beautiful Wednesday evening. But that'll about do it here for the Coaches Show here in the Queen here at Baton Rouge in 1717. My name is Brian Flores saying so long, good night, and have a most pleasant good evening.
Find more of what you're looking for at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. More of the games you love, more of the flavors you crave, more staycation relaxation. All this plus an exceptional staff. Add more to your story at L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
We do things with passion. Everybody here really is invested. So if something can be done better, we challenge the status quo.
Y'all know what's coming, but nobody knows just when. If you don't have a plan or you don't understand how or where to begin,